I want to thank Nidesh here, because if it wasn't for that comment, I would have not woken up and I would have forgotten to go live. So thank you. Thank you. And there is so much to cover, so much to talk about. I've been away. I've been in France and I have been celebrating Christmas. And, and then I came back to spend the New Year in Jerusalem to present my plan on how to take over the world from the Muslim Brotherhood that had infiltrated everywhere. And I do want to talk about it in a different opportunity, because one of the projects that were presented is a mapping of how much and where did the Muslim Brotherhood infiltrate, and you'd be shocked because they're everywhere, literally everywhere. Or maybe you're not going to be shocked because you already know that. You noticed that they're in your back doors and everything already. And there is a shift, a complete shift in thinking that is happening on the ground in Israel and in the leadership in Israel. And I'm thinking that you can see that it is met with respect. I think one of the things, right, you see Trump and Bibi spending time in Mar-a-Lago celebrating the New Year. And that is something that was not done before. And I've read. I have my own hypothesis here. I think because Netanyahu and Israel in general decided to step up and show real leadership and take and go beyond itself in trying to help others around the world, right? Until now, America was doing the policing basically alone without any allies who would help them. And Israel decided to step up and say, hey, let's help. Let's do it. Let's go beyond ourselves and look outside and help the Christians and anyone who is decent, actually. That's the only criteria we have, decency, decent people, good people. That's all we look for. And Nigeria is mentioned now, and I love seeing that. And I texted Frank and said, hey, did you see what Netanyahu said about Nigeria? He didn't answer me yet, but it got me excited because I thought it was too far for Israel to help with the Nigerian case, but I guess it seems like Nigeria is also going to get some tactical and operational help from Israel, which is, I think, happening first and foremost because the Nigerians wanted it. You know, sometimes if you want to get something, you just ask. You just have to ask. Wait, there isn't any sound? Are you, what do you mean there is no sound? I can see the sound thing going. Oh no. Wait, no, it's disconnected. Oh my God. Did you not hear me at all? Do I have to repeat everything? Wait, yeah. Can you hear me? I'm so sorry. No image now, no sound. Everything is weird. Happy Roman New Year, Ivka. Happy Jesus Circumcision Day, everybody. Today, Jesus, if he was born in Christmas, got circumcised. I love that we're celebrating that very intimate moment. I love celebrating that intimate moment with all of you. And glad you are covering this. I know nothing about it. All right. What did you hear? What did you not hear? Is the sound all right or no? It's a black screen. Now I freeze. Now I froze. What's up? What's up? By the way, it's been raining all day today, so that's exciting. Here, let me see. It looks fine. Oh, those are trolls. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So there is so much to cover. There is a whole shift in thinking in Israel. Finally, people here are getting, how do I say it nicely? looking beyond themselves. So yes, so there was the declaration of Somaliland that we're going to talk about. Nigeria got some attention, and which I think that this celebration of Netanyahu with Trump in Mar-a-Lago is so much as a token of appreciation of Netanyahu jumping into the boat, saying, "Hey, let's take some of the load out of America." And I think Israel can do a lot because there are things that Israel can do that Americans are not so good at. So that would help. One of the biggest things that Americans are not that good at is unfortunately human intelligence. And mostly because, well, I have a lot of reasons why I think that Americans are not good at it. There are a lot of things that I can say about American intelligence. They have a lot of technical abilities, but they lack some people skills. I don't want to go like I don't want to seem like I'm making fun of Americans. It's just that different peoples are good with different things. How do I say it nicely? If you guys want to the technical reasons, then I can go to it. And Shauna, thank you again for your support. Good job remembering the Christian history. Bonus for you. I think the other thing, of course, I'm excited about, like reading the New Testament and Mark. I'll be honest with you, the first few videos that are going to come out are the least disruptive ones. So the story of Jesus meeting the Canaanite woman, I thought was a genius way to show how different Jewish thinking is from the Greek thinking. But even then, like I missed out on something that I made a correction video of, which I don't know if it's going to be great. And also, I want to say it's not only that I was in France this week, I was also sick. Yeah, I'm finally going on a vacation and also getting sick. Oh, there is so much to cover. There's so much. I'm so excited about it. And the thing that got me excited, extremely excited yesterday in the meeting we had, so the reason I came back on the 31st is because there was a conference of Jews in Jerusalem in front of the Western Wall. And the mission was to basically do some brainstorming on how we can fight the degeneracy around the world. And the rabbi went up and said, I think it is time for us. I think that the reason for anti-Semitism, a big reason for anti-Semitism, this is what the rabbi had said, the way he laid it down. He said, like, at first, when I talk to Muslims, for example, they tell us, well, the Jews are liars, the Jews are man-eaters, the Jews are awful, the Jews drink blood, blah, blah, blah. And I say, yes. And I keep talking to them. And it's like, we don't think the Jews are trustworthy. And then the rabbi said, well, I told him, well, we don't think Muslims are trustworthy at all. So, okay. And then it goes on. And he said, like an hour and a half later, the guy broke down and confessed. He said, you guys have a job. I don't exactly understand what your job is, but I feel like you're not doing your job. So I would really like you to do your job. And then the rabbi said and confessed in front of us, I think the job what we are not doing and that we are supposed to be doing is to be teachers. And he believes that from a biblical perspective, from a Jewish perspective, the Jews were put in this world, given a mission, not to stay within themselves, but to go out and be teachers and be educators, first and foremost. And conveniently enough, the project I'm working on is what I've been studying is where is the difference between the Jewish cognition and non-Jewish cognition. And of course, when I say non-Jewish cognitions, there are several cognitions. So there is a Jewish cognition, There is a Western one. There is, and of course that has also different categories in it. There is a Chinese one. There is a Japanese one. There is every culture, a lot of structures create different cognitions. Islamic, of course, different, and every cognition except for one of them, and you can all like scream in the comments which one is absolutely useless, have something that they excel at. And because they excel at it or can do it properly, without having a certain percentage of the population being able to do the job, then we're going to have problems globally. Jews have a certain cognition and they're good at certain things, but they're not good at others. And sometimes they think that that if you install the Jewish thinking in another nation, then it might be disruptive, actually. And it's an interesting game to play. But there are things that could be applied everywhere without hurting the structures and without hurting the global supply chain of different types of talents. And that could be taught. But it was really, really hard for me and for us in general, Jews in general, to understand where the gap is at. Reading the New Testament and explaining, hey, this is how Jews are thinking, is one way where I can demonstrate the gap in thinking. So is it possible to put Jewish cognition into China or Greek Germania? Yes. Yes. It is very, very, very possible. It's not even too hard. It's a habit. It's just something that you need to do every day until it becomes a habit, and that's it. Voila. A lot of your problems are gonna get solved by doing something that is extremely simple. But to find out what are those simple things that could be done, I had to do a lot of research, and I had to interact with you guys a lot as well to understand it. But once I did, oh my God, and then yesterday when I showed the presentation, people were like mind blown. It was like, and then I went to the rabbi who said, you think that it is time to go out to the nations of the world and be teachers? Then you should know where the gap is at. And I'm gonna assume, can I take you by your word? Are you going to go out and teach non-Jews? And he said, yes, I'm willing to take your challenge. So I thought that convincing rabbis that it's time to go out and teach non-Jews would be one of the biggest challenges. But, the world was like, no challenge here. We're going to set up the stage, because in 2026, we started the year from the Jewish perspective and the Israeli perspective, from government to the people. There is a shift that happened. And if in the entirety of 2024, the Israelis and everybody I talked to were kind of, let's focus on ourselves and bettering ourselves and thinking of ourselves, they went to a transition period during 2025 where like, yeah, but the Druze are our brothers, right? So I think the one of the things that broke that finally was the Druze, or like, and the Iranians. And I'm like, okay, but the Druze, it's like an extension of like, there are brothers already, that's it, like we have to. But then that line was broken. And now the Christians line was broken. And that's it, it's broken. So the shift had happened. And that was a beautiful thing to see. How private citizens, how rabbis, Jews who lead organizations, influencers, and the state of Israel itself decided that it is now the time to go help others. So, Owned, thank you so much for your support. Jesus put Jewish thinking into the world. It can be done, although his message was taken many twists and turns. Yes, Jesus put the seed. He put the seed, but it's not the Jewish thinking. He had installed or brought forth some of the moral systems of Judaism, of Jews, but not Jewish thinking, because the Jewish thinking unfortunately got lost in translation. And that is one of the biggest reasons why Mark is being ignored, while Matthew and Luke are being the ones that read. Because Mark is written with Jewish thinking, and Matthew and Luke did not understand Jewish thinking, so they tried to explain what Mark actually meant. And by doing so, they lost the meaning completely. You guys saying, so this is what I will tell, and this is why I say I see a lot of people saying in the comments, hey, can you talk about Matthew? When I'll talk about Matthew, I can warn you right away, it's not going to be pleasant, or it's not going to be what you think it is, because Matthew, in the first verse of Matthew, you enrage every Jew. That's this is how much Matthew did not understand Jews. In the first sentence in Matthew, you lost Jews completely. You trigger them in 3 different levels, an existential 3 different levels, which I would explain. But when you push Matthew for Jews to read, then you're doing injustice, unfortunately. And I know it's and I explain it to non-Jews, and I know it's done not because of malice, because of it's cultural misunderstanding. So I do want to make proper videos on the subject, honestly. And I've seen a lot of my followers, my Jewish followers, were also upset that I'm talking about Christianity and I'm reading the New Testament, which is interesting to me, since the rabbis who I told about the videos I'm making were not upset. But I've seen it a lot, actually, the common people, Jews, are a lot more sensitive and more tribal than the rabbis. A lot of the rabbis, at least the rabbis I talked to. So it's an exciting journey, because it's a shift. It's time to, and there is so much, and of course Iran, and I cannot wait for this regime to fall, because once this regime falls, there is one secret that I could finally show you. Secret, yeah, a little secret, a little video that is not from now, and it's not even, it was before I even started my channel. But once Iran falls, this video could be made public, and I'm very excited, and I really hope it finally happens. And thank you so much, Johnny, for your support. Thank you so much. Yes, there's gonna be some interesting stuff. Do I think the regime fall this year? I hope so. I very much need it to fall already, because I hate keeping secrets. I'm just joking. All right, let's go through a little bit of the things that are happening. Because first of all, when it comes to the Iranian, I have a little ask for you all. Try to amplify the protests in Iran as much as you can. Right now, there are a lot of protests, but for the regime to fall, the volume of people go out to the street needs to be even larger. It's amplifying. It's getting bigger and bigger, like the amount of people who go out, but it needs to continue, and not only continue, it needs to grow. So do try to be there with the Iranian people and remind them that they have our support, and that we're with them. All right, so that is something that is happening right now, and there is some frustration that I've seen, right? People like Iranians are angry. Where's the Mossad? Where's Netanyahu? But unfortunately, when it comes to toppling a regime, it has to be from the inside. And the Iranians the problem right now that they have is that they don't have internal leadership at all. But I trust, and here's the message. Here is the message I want to send to all Iranians, and you can please amplify that message, right, when you see Iranians. Trust that in several days, right, leaders would show themselves. So when things are hard, then those who are strong, those who have leadership skills, those who can take action, they reveal themselves. And those structures they appear, right? Like those leaders will appear like mushrooms after rain. Just, they're gonna pop, and it's gonna be Iranian people, and it's gonna be genuine. It's gonna be real. You just have to trust and be the leader, or trust that the leader will emerge. And trust each other and your friends and whoever is there with you protesting. It's the only way. It cannot be Mossad agents that would take leadership positions. It has to be you. It's your country. It's their country. So at first, when I saw the commentary of, okay, why is Israel abandoning us now? Like they're shooting at us and everything. And I seen like, the reaction was like, I understand, but believe me, like the Mossad is there. They're doing everything they can. And there are things that they cannot do. So I was angry. And some commentaries from Israel were angry. It's like, when we fought for our independence, we lost 1% of our entire population. That's a huge number of people. Of course, people are gonna die. So, but then, a lot of times people complain about one thing, but in reality, they're actually trying to say something different. So I went behind the scenes and asked, when they say, where is Israel? What do they actually mean? And I was told, it's not that they are really like, here's the thing, what really hurts them is the lack of leadership on the ground, right? Lack of clear leadership. But the way they express it is by hoping that somebody like even Israel would take that position, which is unnatural. So so when I, had that clarification, I was like, okay, this is just an emotional moment. And those leaders in a couple of days would arise naturally, because this is how it happens in real life. And it will be okay. Because I'm certain that a lot of the reasons that they could find where the secret prison is at to break free the political prisoners. That's I don't know if it's the Mossad, but it sounds like the Mossad is the one that found the small hidden prison. Who would find it, right? And then help the people. Clearly there are cyber attacks going on at the same time. There is a lot of behind the scenes help. It could have been way worse, right? A lot of those are things that are unseen. You don't know what it looked like, what the protests would have met if it wasn't the Mossad helping behind the scenes there, convincing people not to go out, for example, or threatening them, or in them being too afraid to use electricity because of the Mossad operations and beepers and stuff that can explode. All those things, right, make it harder for others, for the regime to coordinate and go against those protesters. But when it comes to actual visible leadership on the ground, that is only something only the Iranians could do. But I believe in you guys. I believe in you Iranians. I don't think there are any Iranians here. Are there any Iranians here? What are the chances? And yes, I am praying the Shah will return by Nowruz, a golden new year. Yes, amen. So if there are any, are there any Iranians here? But yeah, there is no doubt that the Iranian regime needs to fall now. So I also think that Israel is watching closely, because there is another risk. Let's say Israel will send jets now. There is also the risk that everybody's going to go back home because they don't want to get bombarded. So it's not the best idea to send air. And probably things are a bit messy on the ground. So things need to be done properly. But I think that the goal is for the regime to fall now, and that things are that the escalation would happen as necessary. That's what I believe. Here, I believe in future peace between Iran and Israel. It just takes costless diplomacy instead of supporting high-profit war business. There is a lot of profit to make when you're rebuilding a country, actually. There is a lot of profit to be made. One of the things I've noticed, like some people don't understand that profit is generated with work. So it's not that you are limited. It's when you see opportunities and you generate and create, then you can make more profit. So, all right. And I see there is, of course, a new mayor was elected. Okay, I want to show you some things that had happened recently. So let me go through a couple of things that I saved here. You're saying, yes, America's wealth is largely due to war. What is it? What about Apple? What about war drives innovation, that's for sure, because necessity drives innovation. But you know what else drove innovation? The space, the race, who gets first to the moon, that also brought a lot of innovation. Competitiveness brings innovation. You need competition instead of war. When you think how to frame things as competitions, then you're going to get the innovation and you're going to get those things. And don't forget, you're always at war, because there is always death and disease and natural disasters and comets. Yeah, the space race was a war, but now that we have social media and brain engineering, we just need people to think that, to react to things that we need scientifically in the same way as actual wars. Yeah. So let me share screen. And let's see. So let's all celebrate the new, this person. What's his terrible person name? I want to have like a nicer layout. 1 second. Is this nicer? Whatever. How beautiful. So this is, for example, like not a good way to move forward in life, honestly. Wait. Yeah, Zan. Are you guys excited that you have a mayor now that had an oath on the Quran? How exciting is it? You know. By the way, there was a very interesting conversation I had last night as well.
We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
We will replace the rigidity.
We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
I say that the only way to react to a sentence like that is to show how warm collectivism can be by just using like the entire people, like the entire crowd should go upstage and give him a hug. That's all I think. This is the reaction I have. You know, all of them together, hug, real strong, real tight. We might, it might solve several issues at the same time. So, yeah, that was the most terrifying sentence a person could utter. Seriously. He is a Shia, though not a real Muslim like me. Sheikh Kamim, well, you know, Shia, Sunnah, whatever. You know, I think it's more of a psychological mindset than a religion that I'm seeing here. Like this is the most terrifying sentence that one can utter. Literally.
We will.
It's like, listen to me, sheep. Don't think again, ever. Warmth of collectivism. Please go collectively hug him very, 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 as much as like with all your hearts and all your might.
Together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our together, we will replace the.
You know, Mamdani, I'm not gonna lie. I chose Mamdani to feature in my presentation yesterday. And when it was the slide that had his photo, I looked at it and I said like, you know. Well, I like being proven right, you know. What is this?
The frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our together, we will.
Yeah. This dude sends chills down my spine as well. It's terrifying. Effing terrifying. This is an open attack on the United States. This guy is rotten. It is an open attack on humanity. So, rotten is a compliment. Thank you, Mamet, for your support, for the super sticker. Wait for it. It says wait for it. Yeah, wait for it. Oh my God. Well, at least the Iranians are currently toppling their regime, so maybe they would give like good tips, you know. Because one of the things, like, I try to give tips for the Iranians, and then I realized that, surprisingly enough, Israelis don't have much experience with toppling regimes. But now I hope the Iranians would have some, and then they could give you, the New Yorkers, some tips when the time comes. Yo, Rebecca, you just hate this dude. Do I hate him? I just don't want him to exist. I don't know if it's hate. So.
Place the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
Is there anyone in the crowd that doesn't see why this is the most dangerous sentence one can utter? I would have rather he stood there and shouted Allahu Akbar. Would have been less dangerous.
If our together, we will replace.
Yeah. This is Iran. I'm gonna skip over it because I know it's gonna be problematic. By the way, Iron Beam laser-based aerial defense now operational all over Israel. Woohoo! This is so cool. This is science, okay? This mindset will never encourage science. It never. All right. Okay. So thank you. So you're asking, like, why it's bad, right? Why is this sentence is dangerous? Thank you for being honest. I'm right. I'm. Thank you for stepping up and say. Right? Am I correct? So no, it's not that collectivism is Islamism. This is not. All right. Is this the question? Is like, do I need to explain why this sentence he just uttered is very dangerous? It doesn't have much, like, it's not necessarily much to do with Islam. So let me explain. Why is Okay, perfect. Let me explain. So let's start. What is the warmth of collectivism versus the rigidity of individualism, right? So what makes something feel warm? Things feel warm when you feel like you are accepted, when you are understood, when you are embraced. So this is something that makes us feel warmth. Now, there are two ways to reach to a stage where you can do that. One way to do that is by the Jewish approach. What is the Jewish approach? Judaism and the Israeli culture is special, and this is something that is unique and is only found in Jewish culture. Be surprised. I mean, and cultures that learned from is the Jewish culture, but it's most prevalent in Jewish culture. The way they do it in general is by accepting failure and disagreement. So one way to do that, right, feeling accepted and understood, is to have a culture where you can speak up your mind, be in a minority opinion, have your own ideas, have your own thoughts, be different than anyone else, and everybody else would vehemently disagree with you, argue with you, say their opinions, you say your opinions. But instead of you thinking that that would mean that they are not accepting or loving you, you would have the cultural background of disagreeing is a virtue and being wrong is productive because this is how you learn, right? So you will not be afraid to be wrong and you will not be afraid to disagree. When you do that, when you disagree and you take the risk of being wrong, you still feel accepted and loved because you are rewarded for standing on and voicing your opinion. And that is a way to feel accepted and embraced and get the warmth. Unfortunately, this is not the American culture today. The American culture struggles with accepting failure, with embracing failure, and right, because if like you failed, then it's problematic. And more, and this is what the Muslim Brotherhood did, and universities did, and Mamdani did, is his folks, because like they brought in a culture where disagreeing is unacceptable and being wrong is punished. So because of that, the way that you can get warmth and acceptance is by having no opinions. Because once you have an opinion, no matter how minute the opinion is, no matter how much of a niche of something it is, you take a risk. You might be wrong, because if you present an opinion that is different, it means that you might be wrong, because most of the time it's an hypothesis. And it might be different. So you would not get accepted and you will not be understood. So you will not have the warmth. So when he says the warmth of collectivism, he says the warmth of collectivism that he is offering in a culture where being wrong or disagreeing is actively punished means only one thing. You are not allowed to have an opinion, because collectivism in that setup that kind of culture means one thing. Only the leader, and only the leader, is allowed to have a thought. Everyone else must follow. Otherwise, you'd risk disagreeing or being wrong. So when he comes and says that to an American culture, when he touches a point, he touches a vulnerability that is true. Right now, in American culture, failure or disagreement is met with punishment. Demonstrating a culture that is different is met with punishment. Not acceptance, not understanding. So he touched upon something that people can, yes, resonate with, right? Oh, yes, I remember. I expressed my opinion and I was punished for it, or worse, I was wrong. So wouldn't it be better for me to embrace collectivism and allow Mamdani to tell me what to think? When you give away your agency, your ability to express yourself, to think, to someone else, first of all, like I need to say the obvious, all right? Instead of having a lot of different computers running different, equations, different things that could be discovered, suddenly there is only one working computer. So science cannot exist, could not. No matter how much of a genius Mamdani is, he only has a certain amount of RAM and computation power. So you lose the ability to do science because there is only one computer running, and not a strong one, that is. When you do think like that, that's it. You lost science. So in the best case scenario, you can preserve science that already exists, but not explore, not fix, and not discover, nothing. That is what is the medical term exactly? I think it's called being a plant. Your body is alive, but your brain is dead. It's a disaster. So that's why. The warmth of collectivism, right, is something that you could, in theory, say in a culture where no matter what, right? For example, let's say we are family, and I can tell you, like, let's say you are my sister, actual sister or something. I can tell you, no matter what opinion you express, no matter how much you try and fail, as long as you are genuine about it, like you genuinely try, it's not that you're evil or something, right? No matter how much we disagree or how wrong you're gonna be, I'll always be your sister. That is a different type of collectivism, of being a family, right? Where you accept someone. And that is a different type of warmth. And that requires a different type of thinking and education. And it also is very bad with when you scale it, because it's I mean, it can work when you scale it, but it's like you need to create a culture, but then it's not collectivism anymore. It's like it's a collective that is warm and accepts individualism. And it also requires another thing. It requires like circles of responsibility where you're responsible for others. And that is another thing that needs to be taught. So if you're my sister, right? Part of this, the cultural thing needs to be like, okay, my sister might be wrong, right? But I will try to, like, as much as I can, I would want you to have that ability to be wrong and help you if necessary and take that risk, because it's worth taking risks sometimes. But if one person takes a risk, then they and pay for it completely alone, then it's hard. So that requires also being like, okay, let's be responsible for people around us, and in case they were wrong, in case they something, happens, whatever, let's see if we can help them out, but not because it's forced by a collective in general, like hopefully, ideally, because you feel responsible from your, like, on your own. because like you care about your classmates, you care about your family, you care about people you know. And that's just another way of like educating people, like with circles of responsibility. It doesn't work if your mindset is structured around hierarchy. Hierarchy and responsibility are not the same structures. So, and this is one of the biggest things that I realized that I didn't explain in the video I made about the Canaanite woman meeting Jesus. Because when Jesus gave the example of the dog versus the children, he didn't, if structuring it, if you think like a Jew, you structure the household like in a circle, with circles of responsibility and not hierarchy. So it's not, so because you're a parent, your children take priority because you have responsibility for your children because they are your parent. But the dog is already like second, like it's like your cousins. It's like, you know, first your children, then your nieces and nephews, and it's natural. But what I learned is that the way that Greeks say it is Greeks like Westerns, and why Mamdani is so dangerous is that no matter what, the children are always above the puppy. And because like the children are more important in the household. And I gave the example of, okay, what if it's so the difference is that in circles of responsibility, let's say the house is burning down and there are puppies and the children, and the dog is trying to save the puppies and the children. In circles of responsibility, the dog is supposed to save its puppies first because those are his children, and then the household children. Just like the parent is supposed to feed the children and then the puppies first, right? The puppies. That's the order. But when you think in hierarchy, then you expect the dog to save the children and prioritize the children of the household and not not their own puppies. So this is different ways of structuring things, a household. That's the difference between like circles of responsibility than having an hierarchy. And the other shift you have to do if you want to have that kind of warmth of collectivism without and still having your individualistic thoughts is to move to circles of responsibility instead of leaning into hierarchies. So yeah, first my husband, then my cats, then my neighborhoods. Yeah, exactly. But if you were thinking in terms of hierarchy, then your cats are last, right? Probably. If it's like because that would require the entire neighborhood to decide who is important. But if you think in circles of responsibility, then you know who you're responsible for. It's different. But you can achieve way more when you think that way. So, I don't know what's going on in the comments. I don't understand. All right. I want to take a moment and watch the video of the recognition of Somaliland, which I think is great.
Mr. President.
By the way, I have to say, like, this really warmed my heart. And in general, like, taking this stance of, hey, so Israel is also right now, what it did is expanding its own circles of responsibility.
It's good to talk to you. And before anything else, I want you to know that I'm signing now, as we speak, Israel's official recognition of Somaliland and its right of self-determination. Our friendship is seminal and historic. So I'm very, very happy and I'm very proud of this day. And I want to wish you and the people of Somaliland the very, very best there. I think this will be a great opportunity for expanding our partnership. We intend to work together with you on economic fields, on agriculture, in the fields of social development, all the things that we hope we can assist you. And we obviously believe in this friendship. And I have to tell you that there's a lot of excitement here in Israel as well. So I want to use this opportunity, sir, to invite you.
But I want to say something. So here is something that is done. And I want to talk about something that is very important that I think we should adopt. But of course, Somaliland is very important strategically for Israel. And there is a lot of reasons why Israel would want to have presence there, obviously because of geography and where it's stationed. And I will talk about it in a bit. But I want to say something. Somaliland is way more functional than Somalia. They had been self-governing way better than Somalia, and yet nobody would acknowledge them. I think it's time for us to value merit. Those who deserve to be acknowledged should be. Somaliland is managing itself properly. It's democratic, it's stable, and if you reward countries like that, systems like that, then there is a lot more chances that others would be the same and do the same. So in general, that's a good idea. And try to apply it as much as possible anywhere. So this is also one of the things that makes people happy.
To an official visit to Israel at your convenience, and I hope very much to see you here soon. This is a wonderful day. It's a historic day, and of course, I'll communicate to President Trump your willingness and desire to join the Abraham Accords. So, thank you, Mr. President. Please convey my best regards and the best regards of the people of Israel to the independent people of Somaliland. Thank you, sir.
That's a great moment and great historical day. The big five is here. The other group is the chairman of the party and the vice president. And key officials are here.
Can you play the video, because it said like it disconnected the video disconnect, like the. Can you still hear it?
The big five is here. The other group is the chairman of the party and the vice president. And key officials are here. Mr. Prime Minister, I accepted the invitation. I am ready as soon as possible for that arrangement that can be made.
We shall arrange it very soon, and please convey my warmest regards to your colleagues and to the people. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you. See you soon in Jerusalem. Next year in Jerusalem, we say. It's a few days from now. Thank you, sir.
Sure, I will be glad to be in Jerusalem as soon as possible.
I wanna do another thing. I wanna take it to another thing that is. I wanna give a little bit of a credit. Something that is unrelated, but what's gonna sound a bit weird. But one of the because it's a very interesting observation that I want to make, and please feel free to push back on what I'm about to say. One of the reasons I believe Somaliland is so different from Somalia is because of the British mandate. Notice that wherever the British went, with all their shortcomings, and there are, where the Brits went, those places tend to be more stable, more successful, and better in general, way better. So Somalia was controlled by Italy. It was an Italian colony, if I'm not mistaken. and Somaliland was a British colony. But notice like where the Brits went, whether it's Hong Kong, Somaliland, India, wherever they went, they established cultures that in the today show better governance and in general are better. And I think it's interesting because you look at Somaliland, super Islamic, not the most advanced operating system, of course, very, very Muslim, but cultures can be influenced. And the Brits, I think it's not just that the Brits had good bureaucracy structures. The Brits were a lot more humane than the other Europeans. I don't think the Belgians looked at people, the local people that they ruled over, as humans at all. At all. At all, at all, at all. The French were like, I guess, better than the Belgians, but the Brits were fair. They always tried to be fair. Like sometimes they were wrong, obviously, and a lot of times, but they, it was the British that fought against slavery. It wasn't other cultures in general. The Brits, it might be worth, with how annoying they are in general. With, well, it's not that they had it's not that we had the best experience with the British mandate here or in India, right? Something that Indians and Israelis can really have in common. But compared to any other culture, maybe they're worth saving. Maybe we shouldn't let Britain fall to the Muslim Brotherhood. Just saying. I think we're think it's going to be said. I mean, Belgium already fell, so, and I don't care, honestly. They deserve it. Britain? I don't think they deserve it. It's going to be said. Oh, here is another.
Not only for our benefit, but for America's benefit. Not only for our benefit, but for America's benefit as well.
Okay, one last question, because now you have to go. Somaliland. I had to look it up on the map. You have recognized Somaliland. You are the first nation to do so. Now that I know where it is, I studied a little history for it, but why? What provoked that and the timing?
Well, Somaliland has 6 million citizens, moderate Muslims. They want to join the Abraham Accords, and I
don't think they're moderate, but they're functioning, so that's impressive.
That's very good. They are Democrats. Have had elections. The rest of Somalia, which is hodgepodge, has had Al-Shabaab terrorists there. Never had elections since for decades. Got a lot of terrorists coming there. So why not support democratic, moderate country, Muslim country that wants to join the Abraham Accords? I think everybody should do that.
But I guess
if we have to be first.
I guess we didn't see it coming, and you were the first nation, and I'm going, Somaliland?
Yeah, Somaliland, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have to go visit Somaliland. I take you can help me get a interview with the president.
I'll do my best.
All right. Thank you, sir. It's always nice to see you, and nice to see you here in the United
States. Here is Somaliland. Congratulations. I am so, it's so I think when you open your eyes and stop feeling sorry for yourself and reward other people's efforts to be good, then it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So yeah, you can see it's in a very strategic point, especially for world trade and to fight against the Houthis. And of course, Socotra here, which I don't know why. I don't know where it started, but there is like a running gag now that Socotra is also our homeland, and we need that island for some reason. I guess because it's pretty. So there is like, oh yes, we're closer and closer to Socotra, the homeland. I don't know how it started. Yeah, so here's an Iranian protester addressing Prime Minister Netanyahu. 80 million Iranians give you their hearts, save us. Yeah, that's something I addressed before, so I think it's kind of something I did touch on. Yeah, it's in. Oh yeah, I love the Dean's comment here. Netanyahu has the opportunity to do the funniest thing here. Yeah, it could have been so funny. Ready to serve the greatest city in the world. See you at the inauguration of the new era. Well, if Netanyahu showed up there, it could have been so funny. What does it say? Here is another. No. So only Trump and Netanyahu have shown public solidarity because everyone else are cowards. Here is a celebration. Happy New Year. It's nice to see. Celebration. And here,
This last thing, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned since that horrible day of October 7th? And characterize, if you could, what you see about anti-Semitism around the world and where it stands today.
I think the lesson actually goes back to the Holocaust. If somebody says they want to kill you, they want to destroy you, annihilate you, believe them and be prepared at all times to.
Yes, so what he is trying to say is Muslims. Oh, another thing that is happening is, of course, the Greek-Cyprus-Israeli alliance going in against, here, let me show you the map. First of all, this is Somaliland here. This is Socotra, our beloved island that we really want for reasons that I didn't fully understand, except it's being nice. Why is there no, like, where is the, want to see how it looks like. So what's here? I know they have like very interesting looking like trees, right? So here, what is here? Shuaba Beach. Let's see what's going on here. Where is there are no photos? What? Oh, exciting. Oh, very, okay, I see. Yes, definitely. It's very good that we are changing, like, Israel is starting to think like in a more like, you know, looking around a little bit. Looks very nice. And Israel is very small, you see, it's very small. So we need a vacation spot, you know. I understand. Yes, this looks nice. Oh, you're saying that is the most biodiverse island on earth. So what a waste. What a waste for it to be in Yemen. You know, that used to be, Yemen used to be. It used to be a Jewish kingdom. So, but whatever, they can keep Yemen. Just we need the island for reasons. Okay, so here is Israel. This is Cyprus, which half of it is occupied by Turkey. Nobody cares about it for some reason. And here's Greece. So this is the new alliance to block the the Turks trying to take over the Mediterranean, basically, which is a bad idea. It's bad for everybody because Turks they really are trying to fill the gap Iran is creating right now. So. So yeah. Oh, here, let's hear.
You are representatives of the Christian Zionists who made Jewish Zionism possible. It's hard for me to conceive the emergence of the Jewish state, the re-emergence of the Jewish state, without the support of Christian Zionists in the United States, also in Britain, but the main thrust was in the United States in the 19th century. So Christian Zionism facilitated the rise and success of Jewish Zionism. And it's been an enormous partnership since then. I've known some of you. Mike, how long have we known? Since we were teenagers, something like that? A long time.
46 years.
46 years, since we were a little more than teenagers. But I can say that we have no better friends, and I mean that sincerely. You have stood by us through thick and thin, and now we're challenged by new challenges, but equally with new opportunities. We've fought, as you know, a seven-front war, and we've come out in many ways victorious. But there's an eighth front, and that's the front for the hearts and minds of people, especially young people in the West, and for me, especially in the United States, and for me, especially on the conservative wing of the United States. And I think it's not just Israel's battle. I think it's our common Judeo-Christian civilizational battle. And I think we have to engage in that battle as forcefully, with as much resolution as we engage the other seven fronts. I think it affects not only Israel, it affects America, it affects our alliance, it affects the future of Western civilization. And I don't think I'm exaggerating one bit. I have here my colleagues, Israel's ambassador to the United States, to the United Nations.
Basically, it's a little bit hard to understand, I agree. And of course, breaking Zohar Mamdani's inauguration opened with a socialist song, Bread and Roses. Who would have thought? Yeah, it's hard to understand what he's saying, right? That's what you guys. By the way, I've seen there was a disaster in Switzerland. I have no idea what's going on, and that the church was burnt in Amsterdam. Well, it is what it is. I think so. This is just as a Christian community stood with us in difficult moments, we will stand with you and help in every way to protect Christian communities all over the world. This partnership of shared values is strong, and together we will prevail. This is what it's about, but the first part is a bit shaky. So that's what it is about.
Our consul.
And if it's around the world, I think that includes Europe as well, probably, since it needs some help, it seems like.
General in New York, our consul general in Miami, and every one of my delegation, we feel that this is a theater that has to be engaged with great force. Who's to engage in us in this? It's us. It's you and us. And we have to, we have to be, I think we have to stand up and be counted. They have to hear our voice. There are some people who believe that, that faith should be silent and terrorism should be understood. No. Faith should speak its voice, and terrorism should be confronted, not understood, confronted and defeated. And that is what we're engaged in right now. So I want you to know that I spoke with President Trump yesterday. I said this publicly too. I see the battle against us and the battle against our Judeo-Christian tradition basically being waged around the globe. And it's waged primarily by two forces, radical Shiite Islam and radical Sunni Islam. That means the axis that is led by Iran, much battered, admittedly, but still there, and the axis, the Sunni axis, led by the Muslim Brotherhood, which permeates everything. They go to Europe, they go to the United States, they go to Africa, Nigeria. And we are conscious of the fact that Christians are being persecuted across the Middle East, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Nigeria, in Turkey, and beyond. And we're also aware of the fact, as you are, that one country protects the Christian community, enables it to grow, defends it, and makes sure that it thrives. And that country is Israel. There is no other. None. We are joining an effort to have basically a United Nations of countries that support Christian communities around the world, beleaguered communities who deserve our help. Just as you are helping us, we want to help back. And we're capable of doing that. In Africa with Intel, in the Middle East with a lot of means that I won't itemize each one. But this is what our agenda is. It's the main part of our agenda. And it's going to continue with greater force and greater might in this coming year. I want to use this opportunity to wish you all, well, it's kind of late for a Merry Christmas, but a belated Happy Christmas and not a belated, and on time, a Happy New Year. May it be a year of prosperity, peace, and security for all of us, but especially for the Christian communities around the world.
Another thing I want to touch on, by the way, that now there is also like this return to religion, a return to Christianity, return to roots. And part of the battle here is to the definition of Christianity. Is it going to be the Christianity that had stifled thought, that punished those who, like Galileo Galilei? Or is it going to be the Christianity that brought success, like in the United States, right? Those are both Christian, like they all call themselves Christianity. They all claim to be followers of Jesus, of believing in Christ and things like that. And yet they had very different systems, very different results, completely different thinking. So there is also a fight.
You
when
are
you go
representatives of the...
You go back to the basics, right? People want to have the community again. The part of the fight is to make sure that it's not all types of Christianity. It's not all types of thinking. It's not every church that brought prosperity, that brought success, that is healthy for you or good for you. It needs to be done properly. And that is 100% something that the Jews want to be involved in. Not again, not another Roman style. And when I say Roman style, I mean the Roman Empire style Christianity, where they take the books, make sure that nobody reads them because they're inconvenient. That kind of Christianity doesn't work best, doesn't work the best for Jews or saints in general. So this is Switzerland. By the way, here's a massive anti-regime. You can see that it's all over.
این
Iran
اعتراضات
is
در حالی
erupting
ادامه
all
دارد که
over the
جمهوری
place.
اسلامی
All right, so this year there is a lot to fight for. But I think that one of the biggest steps when you start fighting is the first one. Getting up, fighting, doing something. And I'm really this amazing transition in the last several days between Christmas and the New Year's Eve, between that Israel and the Jews had decided to switch gears in their minds and be like, we're citizens of the world. Let's fight together. I think it makes a world of a difference. And I think that my project is going to make a real difference as well. And I want to show you I will make a video where I go through the slides that I showed in that lecture as well. Oh, thank you so much, the Uralic tribes, for your support. I said it before, but what's the logic behind complaining about Iran and bad radical groups do when it was the US who installed the Ayatollahs and these groups into those positions in the first place? I can't take this anymore. Who is complaining, though? I mean, how about we phrase it differently? So when you complain about something, it sounds unproductive. But there is a logic with saying, hey, this is shit. And if people say that's shit, then at some point, instead of sitting down and complaining, they might get up and do something about it. And yes, America and others might have helped, or, you know, maybe a lot of people who are good didn't do something or did something that was wrong. Remember what I said about being wrong. So being wrong is going to happen. There is a way that we can still be healthy, accept each other, and move on and create a healthy environment. And that is called something said something wrong. You disagree with them. You say, for example, the West might have thought that it would be better and more stable to have an Islamic regime in Iran, and that it's the best way to go. Besides, let's be honest, the Shah was old, he had cancer, he couldn't manage Iran. Iran was really erupting. The situation there was a lot more complex than people understand. So the West was like, okay, let's just stabilize it. We think stabilizing it is the best thing to do. Now, at that point, right, let's say it's a conversation, and instead of looking at that as not a conversation, if we think about it as a conversation, right, there should be a pushback saying, hey, I disagree, I think it would be worse, actually. But sometimes we don't have that information. Sometimes we don't know. And things happen, and you're wrong, and they were wrong. So once you realize something is wrong, you stand up and say, hey, that was a bad idea. Yes, it was. Does it mean that we need to now chase around all the people who made those wrong decisions? There is one case when we should. The case when we should is when they made the wrong decision because they wanted to, because they're Muslims themselves, they're Islamists themselves, and they're just fucked themselves, right? They're just evil per se, and they have stupid ideologies or whatever. Then you can chase the people, especially if they, you know, if it's clear that they cannot improve. Some people are stuck in a like a stupid loop. A computer that went bad, I don't know, like, you know, viruses. Too many viruses, just disconnect it from the network so it wouldn't affect other people with its viruses. You know, isolate it. That's why we invented jails. But, you know, isolation works. You don't want those viruses to spread. Okay, it was wrong. Now this is the stage where everybody says it was a bad idea. And then if you want to have a healthy society, those people who made the mistakes should also be allowed to say that they were wrong and not be punished for it. Because just like they were wrong, did you stand up and disagree with them when the time was right? Probably not, because we weren't born, but like, you know, in general, a lot of times we are smart and think that we would have made a different decision. But the only reason we think that is because we weren't the ones that making the decisions. But in reality, one way to know that you would have made the same decision is whether or not you stood up and said that you disagree. If you didn't stand up and disagreed at the time that the decision was made out loud, then as far as reality is concerned, you agreed. And that means it was also your mistake. So now it's everybody's responsibility to stand up and say, it's a mistake and let's fix it. Once you fix it, great. You fix it. Things are complex in real life. If you learn to disagree properly, you learn to accept being wrong, because we will always be wrong. It's yes, the West had contributed. So what? Now we need to create a West that wouldn't not contribute to it anymore. And the only way that you can make people do something that is better than what they have done until now is that you wouldn't punish them for being wrong or disagreeing with you. Because if you punish them for being wrong, they would do anything and everything in their power to pretend they weren't wrong. And that means that they would double down, triple down, and burn the entire world with them. It's not a good way to go. So just offering a better way. It's not easy to do. Obviously, it's not that easy to do. And it's okay to be angry and stuff sometimes, obviously. For example, this is like a good note to end with, because one of the things that I want to see happen in 2026 is that Qatar is not a state. It is a family business, a mafia state whose every so-called achievement is a result of despicable bribery and corruption. It finances terror and bloodshed and exports Islamist indoctrination across the West. Qatar should be. It was a mistake. Qatar is a mistake in general. And just like Mechia Shikli is saying here, right? We tried to let Qatar exist as a Qatar, right? To let that family that lived there in that desert, who lived out of diving and getting pearls out of the seafloor before they had oil. That they didn't, like, they couldn't, like, they were given too much power, money and responsibility that they couldn't handle. They just couldn't. They don't have it. They don't have the culture. They just couldn't handle it. You just can't give power to someone who doesn't deserve it, who didn't earn it. So categorically, we need to reject the recognition of Qatar as a state. Let's make that happen in 2026. All you have to do, America, is to put your flag in it and say, that's mine. That's all it takes, honestly. Okay, let's stop pretending Qatar is something that should be existing. Thank you. Didn't deserve it, didn't earn it. So that is a good example of a mistake. The West invented all those Arab countries. And especially Qatar, categorically should not exist. So let's not be angry. We tried, gave him a chance. Could be fixed. Everything is fixable. It really is fixable. Baruch Hashem. All right, everybody, have a great new year. I'm so happy to be here. And honestly, this is the first day since Christmas that I'm feeling 100% back, healthy. And thank you so much, Harbinger Zero, for your support. Good to see this stream again. Hope everyone is well. Rebecca, you're brilliant as Zero. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you, by the way, when you came to Israel, just so you know. And looking forward to seeing what new things you bring to the table this new year. We got your back. And yeah, Qatar, go the way of Venezuela in the near future. Amen. Amen. And let's all be healthy. Let's strive to be the best we can. And let's look around. Look around us. Take responsibility. And have fun. Let's hope it's going to be a great new year. Good night, everybody. Happy New Year.